Hello and welcome. My name is Carsten Lützen. I'm an Agile coach and a Scrum Master. Today I'll share something called the Dependency Map that you might know. I guess a lot of you know. And it's actually a pretty good tool, even though I know some will think it smells a bit of safe. But besides that, it's actually a pretty great tool when we are starting to distribute work across teams. The dependency map in itself is actually quite simple. Most dependency maps I've seen on one axis have the coming sprints, and the other axis or the other dimension are the teams. So here we have Team Abacus, Team Binary, and Team Calculus. And the idea is to, in a visual way, map the dependencies between teams. And this can be done physically or virtually. My suggestion would be to do it physically and then mirror it virtually so you have it to continue update it afterwards virtually. But when doing it physically, it's super nice. So what we do is we have these teams. They know that they need to implement some stuff. So for instance, Abacus would like in sprint 1 to focus on feature X. Binary would like to, in sprint 3, focus on feature Y. Calculus would like to focus on feature Z in sprint 1. There was double. And then we slowly build this feature map thing. And this, of course, is quite nice. It can give us an overview of Abacus. We'll start looking on feature X in this sprint, and then feature J in this sprint. All good. But the problem is when we then start to have dependencies between these teams, and that's where the dependency map come into play, and a roll of yarn. So imagine that for Abacus to actually be able to implement feature J, then they have a dependency for feature I, like this. Then all of a sudden, we can see that if this is the case, then Abacus cannot start feature X here because the calculus team will not start feature I before sprint 2. Or if we have that feature Z is dependent on feature H, and if we just make a piece more, we have that feature J is dependent on feature Y, like this. Then we have a dependency map all of a sudden, where we can see that this one depends on this. And yes, at the moment these are unidirectional, but in reality we would note down how they're related to each other. But now we can start to figure out, okay, so this definitely needs to come after this, but this also needs to come after, before this one. Then we need to plan for that, optimize for that. It might be that it's simply not possible for the calculus team to start up this before sprint 2. So then this actually needs to be moved into sprint 3. But it also seems that that would not be a problem with the other teams because nobody is having dependencies towards this one. And if this feature is not dependent on that one, then that should be fine. Of course, the business, the users might have an objection with this being moved, but now we have it visual, now we have it transparent, so now we can start to take these discussions. Is it worth for us to move this feature here instead and then move this back one sprint, or how can we solve this in a way that actually satisfies our users' needs as soon as possible? And as you can see, this is also one of the reasons why we should really focus on descaling, because this can be quite messy, quite fast, and this is not static. Some people treat it as a static thing that is only done once a quarter or once every month or something like that. You need to be able to revisit it quite often because new dependency will come up and some dependencies might be handled all by themselves. So please remember this, it's not static. So update it along the way, and that's also why a virtual whiteboard is actually a quite nice way of visualizing this. I'm hoping that some of you will share how are you doing this dependency management between teams, and then please share it. That would be super nice. And that was it from me. I hope that you like these videos. If that is the case, please subscribe and share. That would be nice. And as always, comments, questions, ideas and feedback is more than welcome. Have a super awesome day.